What's up? I'm Lily Revenge Crown, brings you the stories that keep you hooked. If that sounds good, smash subscribe and let's go.
The reception hall at the Belmont Estate smelled like white roses and my brother's overpriced wedding planner's commission. Fairy lights draped across exposed beams. A string quartet played something classical and forgettable. 300 guests in designer clothes celebrated Marcus Whitmore's marriage to Sienna Chen, whose father owned half the commercial real estate in downtown Portland. I sat at table 14. Not the family table. Not even close to it. Table 14 was where they'd seated second cousins and Dad's former coworkers and me, the family member nobody quite knew what to do with. My parents sat at table 1 with Marcus and Sienna, laughing at some story the bride's father was telling. My mother's hand rested on Marcus's shoulder with casual affection. The kind of touch I'd stopped expecting around age 12. Marcus had the spotlight, same as always. Yale graduate. Investment banking. Six-figure salary at 28. And now a wedding that cost more than most people's houses, funded entirely by our parents' gift, $85,000, according to the invoice I'd accidentally seen on Mom's desk last Christmas. Nobody mentioned that I'd paid for my own college. Or that I'd bought my first car with money from my after-school job at 16. Or that when I'd gotten married at 24, small ceremony, courthouse, budget reception, my parents had given me a $200 Williams-Sonoma gift card and wished me well. The marriage lasted 14 months. The gift card bought a blender I still used. I was halfway through my salmon entree when Uncle David appeared at my table, champagne flute in hand and a smile that could light up a room. "Chloe." He pulled me into a hug that smelled like expensive cologne and genuine warmth. Uncle David was my father's younger brother, the one who'd moved to Austin 15 years ago and made a fortune in tech. The one who actually called on my birthday. "I've been looking for you all night. They buried you back here, huh?" "Table 14 has excellent acoustics," I said dryly. "I can hear every word of the best man's speech from here." He laughed. Pulled up a chair uninvited. "Well, before I get dragged into another boring conversation about Marcus's honeymoon plans, Bali, by the way, 3 weeks, first class, I wanted to congratulate you properly." His voice rose just slightly. Enough to carry to the neighboring tables. "How's managing that $4.2 million real estate portfolio going?" The effect was nuclear. At the head table, Marcus froze mid-gesture, his honeymoon photos still pulled up on his phone. The glow of tropical beaches and infinity pools dimmed against the sudden weight of Uncle David's words. My mother's wine glass stopped halfway to her lips. My father's fork clattered against his plate. Sienna's father, Mr. Chen, commercial real estate mogul, turned in his seat with sudden, sharp interest. The conversations around us didn't stop entirely, but they shifted. Heads turned. My parents' friends, Marcus's college buddies, the wedding planner who'd been hovering near the cake, all suddenly very interested in table 14. Mom stood up so quickly her chair scraped against the hardwood. She crossed the reception hall in heels that clicked like a countdown timer. Dad was right behind her. "David," Mom said, her smile brittle enough to shatter. "What portfolio?" I adjusted my napkin with deliberate care. Smoothed it across my lap. Took a slow sip of champagne. Uncle David looked genuinely surprised. "Chloe's real estate investments. The property portfolio she's built over the last 6 years." He gestured with his champagne flute. 12 rental properties across 3 states. Total value around $4.2 million last time we talked, right, Chloe? Though with Austin's market appreciation, I bet those 4 units there have gone up another 15%. The silence that followed could have swallowed the string quartet. Marcus had abandoned his honeymoon photos entirely. He stood next to Sienna at the head table, his face pale under the fairy lights. Mr. Chen leaned forward with the expression of someone who'd just heard something interesting in his native language. "Real estate. 12 properties?" Dad's voice came out strangled. "Chloe, what is he talking about?" I set down my champagne glass. Met my father's eyes. And smiled. "I'm a real estate investor, Dad. I own 12 residential rental properties. 4 in Austin, 3 in Nashville, 2 in Boise, 2 in Raleigh and 1 in Phoenix." I kept my voice pleasant. Conversational. "I started buying foreclosures in 2018 after I saved up my first down payment. Fixed them up. Rented them out. Used the cash flow and equity to buy more." Mom's hand went to her throat. "That's That's impossible. You work at a dentist's office. I manage a dental practice, I corrected. I'm the office manager. But I've been doing real estate investing on the side since I was 26. It's been quite profitable. $4.2 million profitable, Uncle David added cheerfully. Not counting the equity she's built. Chloe's probably sitting on close to $1.8 million in actual equity at this point, conservatively. Marcus made a sound like he'd been punched. You have $1.8 million in equity? His voice cracked. How? You drive a Toyota. A 2019 Camry, I agreed. Paid in cash. Excellent gas mileage. Perfect for driving to property inspections. I picked up my fork again. Turns out when you don't spend money on expensive cars or luxury vacations or designer clothes, you can save quite a bit. I put every extra dollar into real estate. Sienna's father stood up. Actually stood up and walked over to table 14, hand extended. Richard Chen, he said, shaking my hand firmly. Commercial real estate development. I have to say 12 doors by 32 years old is impressive. Most investors don't get past 3 or 4 properties before they give up. His eyes gleamed with professional respect. What's your strategy? Buy and hold? Fix and flip? Buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat, I said. The BRR method. I use the equity from appreciated properties to pull cash out and fund the next purchase. Keeps the momentum going without requiring new capital. Smart. Chin looked genuinely impressed. Cap rates. Between 8 and 12% depending on the market. I focus on emerging cities with strong job growth and population influx. Lower purchase prices, higher rent-to-value ratios. We were speaking a language my parents didn't understand. A language Marcus definitely didn't understand, despite his investment banking job. Uncle David was grinning like he'd just won the lottery. Chloe's been consulting with me on some Austin acquisitions. She's got an eye for undervalued properties that most people miss. You've been consulting? Dad's voice was faint. With David. For 2 years, Uncle David confirmed. She helped me identify 3 multifamily properties that have already appreciated 40%. I offered her a partnership stake, but she prefers running her own portfolio. Mom looked like she might faint. Chloe, why didn't you tell us? I considered the question. Really considered it. I did tell you, I said finally. When I bought my first property in 2018, I came to Sunday dinner excited to share the news. Do you remember what you said? Silence. You said, "That's nice, honey," and then spent 45 minutes talking about Marcus's promotion at the bank. When I tried to explain my investment strategy, Dad said real estate was risky, and I should focus on my stable job. Kept my voice even. So I stopped telling you. I just kept buying properties. Marcus found his voice. 6 years. You've been doing this for 6 years and never mentioned it. You never asked. I looked at my brother directly. Every family dinner is about your career, your achievements, your apartment, your girlfriend. Sorry, wife, now your life. When's the last time anyone asked about mine? The reception hall had gone quieter. Not silent. The quartet still played, conversations still murmured at distant tables. But our corner had become a theater. That's not fair, Mom protested weakly. Isn't it? I pulled out my phone. Opened my property management app. Turned it so they could see the dashboard. 12 properties. 43 total units. Some are duplexes and triplexes. Monthly rental income averages $34,000. After mortgage payments, property management fees, maintenance reserves, and taxes, I net about $11,000 a month in passive income. Marcus's face went white. $11,000 a month? That's more than I make. After taxes and your student loans, yes, it probably is. I put my phone away. But you got the Yale education. The $85,000 wedding. The matching Mercedes our parents helped you buy for your professional image. I got a courthouse wedding, a $200 gift card, and the advice to be more realistic about my goals. Dad's hand was shaking. We didn't know you were struggling. I wasn't struggling. I was building. I met his eyes. I took every dollar I didn't spend on luxury, every bonus you didn't give me, every graduation gift that went to Marcus instead of me, and I turned it into assets. While you were funding his life, I was funding my retirement. Uncle David raised his champagne glass. And doing a damn fine job of it. Chloe's on track to have a paid-off portfolio worth $6 million by age 40. Full retirement at 45 if she wants it. Mr. Chen whistled low. That's exceptional wealth building. My daughter's in commercial development, but residential cash flow is harder to execute well. He looked at me with new respect. Have you considered scaling into commercial properties? I'm looking at a small strip mall in Nashville right now, I admitted. 8 units, seller financing available. The numbers work if I can negotiate down 15%. We were off. Talking cap rates and 1031 exchanges and market cycles. Uncle David jumped in with Austin market insights. Mr. Chen shared commercial financing strategies. My parents stood there like tourists who'd wandered into the wrong conference. Marcus looked like someone had explained that his entire worldview was fiction. The first property I ever bought was a foreclosure in Austin. 26 years old. Just divorced. Living in a studio apartment that cost $950 a month and smelled like the Chinese restaurant downstairs. I'd saved $23,000 working 60-hour weeks at the dental practice and doing bookkeeping on weekends. Lived on rice and beans. Drove my paid-off 2007 Corolla until the check engine light became a permanent feature. The house cost $87,000. Needed $18,000 in repairs. I did most of the cosmetic work myself. Painting, landscaping, fixture upgrades. Hired out the electrical and plumbing. Rented it for $1,400 a month. My mortgage was $620. I called my parents from the closing, excited to share my first major investment. Mom said, "That's nice, honey. Marcus just got promoted to senior analyst." Dad said, "Real estate is risky. Don't quit your day job." I didn't call them about the second property. Or the third. Or any of them after that. Instead, I called Uncle David, who'd made millions in tech and understood what it meant to build something from nothing. He became my mentor. My cheerleader. My family. The family my parents could have been if they'd ever stopped looking at Marcus long enough to see me. 6 years, Mom repeated like she couldn't process it. You've been building a real estate empire for 6 years and we had no idea. You had ideas, I corrected. You thought I was a dental office manager barely scraping by. You felt sorry for me at holidays when Marcus talked about his bonuses and his vacations. You probably told your friends your daughter did okay, with a sympathetic smile. I adjusted my napkin again. You weren't wrong about the dental practice. But you never asked what else I was doing. Because you never told us. Vanessa finally snapped. I tried to tell you. Once. You weren't interested. I looked at my brother. Remember when you came to visit my studio apartment in 2018? You laughed about the smell from the restaurant downstairs. You said I should work harder, so I could afford a better place. His face flushed. I was joking. Were you? Because while you were joking, I was closing on a property that's now worth $240,000. While you were getting your MBA funded by Mom and Dad, I was learning property valuation from YouTube and real estate forums. While you were building your career at the bank, I was building passive income that'll outlast both of us. Uncle David chuckled. She's not wrong. Chloe's W-2 income is maybe $65,000 a year. Her real estate income is $132,000 annually. She makes twice as much from her side investments as her real job. Mr. Chen nodded approvingly. Classic wealth building strategy. Live on the W-2 invest the cash flow. In 10 years she'll be financially independent. 5 years, I corrected. If the Nashville strip mall closes, I'm targeting full financial independence by 37. Marcus sat down heavily. This is insane. You're saying you make more money than me from rental properties. Yes. And unlike your salary, my income is largely passive. My property manager handles the day-to-day. I spend maybe 10 hours a week on real estate tasks, reviewing financials, approving repairs, analyzing new acquisitions. I sipped my champagne. The rest of my time is mine. But you drive a Camry, he said weakly. You wear Target clothes. You live in a... He paused. Wait. Where do you live? I smiled. I bought a condo in 2020. 2-bedroom, 2-bath, downtown view. Paid $340,000. It's worth about $490,000 now. I live there mortgage-free. Paid it off in 3 years using rental cash flow. Mom actually stumbled. Dad caught her elbow. You own your home? Mom's voice was barely a whisper. Outright. And 12 rental properties, yes. Well, the bank owns part of them still. About $2.4 million in mortgages total. But with $4.2 million in property value, that leaves me $1.8 million in equity. I did the mental math. My net worth is probably around $2.1 million when you include my condo, retirement accounts, and cash reserves. The number hung in the air like a guillotine. Marcus's net worth, even with his fancy job and his Yale degree, was probably around $150,000. Maybe, if you counted his 401k and subtracted his student loans. And he'd had every advantage. Every dollar of parental support. Every gift and graduation present and investment in his future. While I'd had a $200 gift card and advice to be realistic. How? Dad's voice cracked. How did you do this? I lived below my means. I educated myself. I took calculated risks. I worked harder than I ever worked at anything. I met his eyes. And I did it alone. Because that's what you taught me to do. You taught me I couldn't rely on you. So I didn't. Uncle David squeezed my shoulder. And she built something remarkable. I'm damn proud of her. So am I, Mr. Chen added. Marcus, your sister is the kind of investor I look for when building development partnerships. Strategic, disciplined, patient. Sienna was staring at me like I'd grown a second head. You really own 12 properties? Want to see the portfolio? I pulled up my property management app again. Showed her the dashboard with photos of each property. The Austin duplex with the blue shutters. The Nashville triplex near Vanderbilt. The Boise single family with mountain views. She scrolled through, genuinely impressed. These are beautiful. You renovated all of them. Most of the cosmetic work, yes. Hired out the major systems. It's more cost-effective. I explained the BRR method,